this place the new light is streaming. Now is the darkness vanished away.
Hello. Hello again. I'm Scotty Burkhalter, pastor of Holy Trinity Lutheran Church in Kingsport, Tennessee, bringing these encouraging words to you. It's hard to believe, but it's been 13 and a half months since this pandemic started, and 13 and a half months since we have been unable to worship here in this place, here in our worship space. And with the exception of 2 weeks, in the latter part of June of 2020, when we tried to come back in and counts took off high again, and the vaccination rate was low, and it was a scary place for us. And so we happily moved back into the parking lot where we could worship safely. And now that we've reached a very high percentage of folks in our congregation who've been vaccinated, and I pray that more and more will be vaccinated in our community, we hope that we're going to be able to come back in. In fact, this Sunday, the first Sunday of May, here we will be. And at the same time, not everyone will feel safe. And so we're going to offer worship both inside and outside. And for those who choose to stay in the parking lot, can continue to pick it up on FM 99.7, WHLT we call it, this low FM transmitter, to pick up the worship there. And but I was looking at a book of songs and hymns for blended worship that was on my shelf, entitled Renew. It's a Hope publication entitled Renew, and I thought this was a good thing for us to consider today as we think about what it means as we try to move back in safely and to do it with hope. And in particular, I have a Marty Haugen song here. It's entitled Here in This Place, or Gather Us In, some call it. But if you'll bear with me for a moment. Here in this place new light is streaming, now is the darkness vanished away. See in this space our fears and our dreamings, brought here to you in the light of this day. Do you remember this song? Yeah, I bet you do remember this song. And but like I said, Marty Haugen wrote this tune, and great work. Like I said, some call it Gather Us In, some call it Here in This Place. But Marty Haugen, who is perhaps the most prolific and influential composer of liturgical music of his generation, he wrote this song, coined and copyrighted in 1982, and but he was actually born in Minnesota, in Eagan, Minnesota, and he's written many compositions. And so though he's the United Church of Christ, which we're in what they call full communion with, though he's in the United Church of Christ by denominational affiliation, his music is widely used in the Lutheran Church, and a name that many of us look to. And he appears in many congregations and conferences in a lot of areas, and I mean even beyond the United States. He's not only throughout North America, but in Europe and the Pacific realm, and Asia and Central America, working with church musicians and others, and doing a lot of work there. And so working on a lot of reform and a lot of what it means for us to worship in a way that's meaningful and a way that we can all connect with here in this age in which we're living. And so he actually received his degree in psychology from Luther College, but decided to focus on music. And obviously he's done well and is using a tremendous gift tremendous gifts that God has given him. And as an opening hymn or an entrance song, this song, Gather Us In, calls the ecclesia, the Christian community or the assembly together. And he was inspired for this hymn from some material that he got from a Jesuit Dutch theologian. And so when he coined this and put it all together, he decided to write it in the second person to avoid gender issues and to more directly to sing to God rather than about God. And I'm hoping and praying that that's going to be us, that we're coming back in, that we're gathering us in. And the first stanza of this song says it's a community, one of hope, where new light is streaming, and a community of honesty where they bring both fears and our dreamings, and coming into the light of this day. And how appropriate that is, especially in our Christian community as we think about it. The second stanza is a description of this productive, this insightful, this tremendous inclusion, this community of an inclusive gathering of what? The young and the old, the rich and the haughty, the proud and the strong. And then in verse 3, we hear about the sacramental community where we receive the wine and the water, and the bread of new birth, and this nourishment gives us strength to be salt of the earth, as we read in Matthew 5:13. And then in the concluding stanza, he clarifies that the work of the kingdom takes place neither in the dark of buildings confining, nor in some heaven light years away. So the work of the kingdom takes place now in the midst of the gathered and inclusive community. And so, in many ways, the past 13 and a half months have been a time that we have been able to see evangelism in a whole new light. There's hardly a week that goes by when we're in the parking lot. There's hardly a week that's gone by over the last 13 and a half months that I haven't seen one or two or more cars come right down Broad Street, right through our worshiping community. I don't know that they realize they're doing it until they're there. But nevertheless, we continue to press on. We continue to worship and to honor God. And so in some ways, it's been encouraging for me to think that we've been evangelizing, if you will, here in this Kingsport community through our worship. And I like to say, preach the gospel every day and use words if necessary. Well, they don't necessarily hear the words because they've got their windows up and driving through there. But I pray that it makes a difference. It has made a difference in some ways. And as we begin to come together in other ways in the coming months, I want to encourage our worshiping community and your worshiping community, wherever you are, to think about the new ways that we might look at what it means to share the good news of Jesus Christ and of His love. Again, we are going to be here in this place this Sunday, but we also, for those who are not ready to come back in, we're going to be here in this place in the parking lot. And so there's an opportunity to be on the inside or to be on the outside and to receive Holy Communion wherever you are. And communion will be distributed at the same time in both places in the context of our worship. And then as I shared this past Sunday in the announcements, hopefully after folks go through communion there, that they will hang around in the parking lot for the conclusion of worship. And then we'll continue on. So again, it's going to be a new day, and new light is streaming. New light is streaming and streaming with hope. And so I ask you to remember our community, to know that you are invited and welcome, whether through connecting with us on video, connecting with us here in this place, or connecting with us through our low frequency FM transmitter right in the parking lot at the same time we're worshiping here. So again, I share these encouraging words to you. They are encouraging for me, and I'm hoping they're encouraging. I hope that they're encouraging for you as well. So again, I am Pastor Scotty Burkhalter, pastor of Holy Trinity Lutheran Church here in Kingsport, Tennessee, where together we are helping transform lives in Christ. Thank you.
Gather us in